More NFL. The Colts placed the transition tag on Daniel Jones yesterday, giving him a one-year, $37.8 million tender. This gives the Colts the opportunity to match any offer sheet Jones would potentially sign with another team. So the transition tag is rarely used, especially for a player. At one point, we were talking about an MVP for. Obviously, he got hurt, a serious injury. But the Colts tagging Daniel Jones, what does that say about the state of the quarterback market right now, Kmart?
Well, what it says for the Colts is that they're willing to take the calculated risk, that they won't be outbid by other teams. And it's interesting because had Danny Dimes finished that season healthy, who knows where the Colts could have gone. And it's unfortunate for him because he was balling. We were another guy, I'm sure, Louis Riddick, is he a franchise guy? Well, he proved to be pretty okay, right? Pretty okay.
Franchise, good quarterback. He's a good quarterback.
Right. But now the Colts have him right where they want him, essentially, where they're like, you know what, we'll take our chances. We think that we can sign you for less for this 1 year, and we'll see if anybody else ups the offer. But they feel like nobody will, and that's unfortunate because he really was putting up MVP numbers at the time of the injury.
Yeah, look, there aren't a lot of good options out there. The Colts know that. The Colts also know that who is going to take a chance on a quarterback who just ruptured his Achilles in December at this point in time, who, right or wrong, regardless of how he was playing up until this point, teams are still going to have questions on whether or not the Colts caught lightning in a bottle. Maybe he just really does fit what Shane Steichen likes to do in Indianapolis. They don't necessarily see that as being a transferable skill set maybe to their organization. The Colts are factoring in all of this. And they're saying, look, if they really thought that, hey, you know what, there's no way we can let Daniel Jones get away, regardless of what his injury status is, they would have put the franchise tag on him. But they're saying, hey, look, if you think you can get more, if you think you can get 47, 50 plus per year up there in that range, go ahead, and then we'll have to make a decision about what we're going to do. In the meantime, we're going to save some money on this transition tag, and we're going to let you go ahead and field other offers, see if other teams will come and get you. Doesn't mean we don't like you. It doesn't mean we don't like you at all because he was having a great season. But that's what it tells you about the quarterback market. It's just not strong right now. And they don't think, given his injury status right now, that he's going to garner a whole lot of interest. And quite honestly, if I didn't have a history with him, would I be that interested in him too? Regardless of how he had played the first half of the season, I would have a lot of questions. I don't even know when he's going to be available, let alone if he's going to do the same thing at my place that he did with Shane in Indy. That's the problem here. That's the message that they're sending him.
Stephen A.
Well, let's refrain from grabbing the balloons and holding a celebration for the Indianapolis Colts because you have to keep in mind that with Daniel Jones, since Andrew Luck's retirement following 2018, Daniel Jones was the Colts' sixth different week one starting quarterback in 7 seasons. They can't find a quarterback. So they haven't been very, very skilled in that regard. And we learned that in the aftermath of him getting injured because you got the Anthony Richardsons of the world, the Riley Leonards of the world, or whatever. You ain't got much to look at. You're in Daniel Jones, you franchise, you do the transition tag, you're ensuring that you'd have right of first refusal. You had a right to match, actually. So obviously that comes into consideration. And then again, like y'all just said, where else is he going to go? You know, you got teams that don't necessarily have cap space, whether it's the Cardinals, the Jets, or anybody else. And not only that, people are going to be reluctant to sign and commit to a quarterback that's fresh off of an injury, the kind of injury that he has sustained. So his options aren't that great in terms of seeking or getting the money that he seeks. But in the end, it's a wise decision on the Colts' part, and he shouldn't mind it at all because he was having a breakout season, the best of his career, and going back to familiar territory is something he should welcome because if he could do it before, the likelihood is he can do it again, and then he'd be in position to make mega dollars down the road.
You think this was the right move?
For
who?
For Indianapolis, absolutely.
Both.
Absolutely. And for him too. Look, if he's going to have to prove
that he can come back.
That's right. That he's going to be available.
Yeah.
And if he does, then he'll come back. He'll have a nice contract. He can have a big year, and then next year he kind of flips the script in terms of the leverage again, because as Stephen A. was just saying, look, the Colts are aware of what their history has been as far as trying to replace that position in particular since Andrew walked out the door. They understand what it is. They got a glimpse of what he could bring to the table at the beginning of this season. Well, we were on shows like this every week sitting there going, man, what the hell is going on with the Daniel Jones? How have all of a sudden has he struck gold here?
Let's also remember this. Last year, he was also on a one-year deal. He was on a one-year deal paying him about $14 million, if I remember correctly. So I'm like, it's like you played under 1 year and look how you performed. Chances are this is you have an opportunity to replicate the kind of performance that you were having before you went down. So it's not a bad situation for either party at all, considering the circumstances. My opinion.
I hate it for Daniel Jones because, like
Why?
we said, he was putting up MVP numbers, playing on a fractured bone in his leg, and then he gets the Achilles injury, and now it's he's lucky that he's getting 37.8 or 0.1 for this season. It's just unfortunate because he had played to a point where he should be making more than that.
Right.
That's all.
It is unfortunate.
That's the brutality of the business.
Career high in yards per attempt with Indy did Daniel Jones have last year, which was very impressive. We'll see when he can come back. I haven't even heard how is his rehab going. I feel like we need to check in on one Daniel Jones. We'll do that another time.
Yep.
Trey Hendrickson is someone we're going to check in on.
The Colts put the transition tag on Daniel Jones. That's something you don't hear much anymore in the NFL. It's been an option all along. You hear the franchise tag all along. All the time. What this one means is he gets a 37.71 year deal. Teams can now negotiate a new deal and sign him to an offer sheet. If they do, then the Colts would have the ability to match. So as Lewis told us earlier this morning, and it makes sense, this is the Colts betting that no one is going to want to go out there and offer bigger money to a guy who played very well last year when healthy, but then tore his Achilles. And I'll tell you what, it just is a reminder of what a tough business this is. I'm thinking back to Baker Mayfield toughing it out when he was in what proved to be his last year in Cleveland. Played hurt even though he easily couldn't have. They wound up deciding, well, we need to move on from him because he played hurt, and the rest is history. Here's a guy who's out there with a broken bone in his leg trying to tough it out for his team, tears his Achilles, pounding the ground in agony, and now, and I get it, it's a zero-sum world they live in with the salary cap, but they're like, we can save $8 million by not franchise tagging him, and that's what happens.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. And they're saying, hey, look, you know what? We still hold the right of first refusal. If a team goes out and kind of exceeds what we think is fair value for you right now, given what your health status is right now, then we'll consider it. I mean, they're not totally saying, hey, look, we don't believe in you, obviously, because if he signs it, I mean, he's guaranteed $37 million. That's a lot of money. But I think right now there's a lot of questions in their mind. And that's what they're doing.
What they're saying is no one's going to do it because he's hurt.
That's right.
I mean, that's
exactly.
what they're saying.
Which, look, obviously, if you don't have a history with him, or you don't have a level of comfortability with what he is going through from an injury perspective, you're not gonna sign into a long-term deal. You're just not.
Right.
It's a terrible situation for him to be in, given how his season was going.
Because he had leverage.
That's right.
Based off of how his season was going right up until that injury.
Right.
And now the Colts.
They traded away their first-round pick to get Sauce. I mean, they were all
They were all in.
They were all in last year.
And now they understand because of the injury, we have you where we want you.
Yeah, that's the bottom line, though, Nick. Right? If that guy had just finished the season he was having, playing at relatively near the level that he was playing, this is a guy that teams would have wanted and would have gotten a big deal. Not top of the line quarterback money deal, but certainly would have gotten a big contract.
Yeah, and it would have been a long-term deal. I remember early in my career, Champ Bailey told me there's a difference between being tough and dumb tough. And I think Champ ended up playing with like a separated shoulder, but it was after he had signed some enormous contracts. But I think it's a reminder that they don't really love you. They don't really care about you. We'll defend the players when they choose to protect themselves. But I think often we decide in those situations that like the old school feelings that we have about team, those things come up. Like we're super critical of players who don't play when something's nagging them in big moments, but we easily justify and defend the teams where we say it's just business when they do stuff like that. I'm not saying we shouldn't. I'm just saying we need to understand when it goes the other way also.
Yep.
One of these days, I said it before, we're going to wake up and he's going to become the Kirk Cousins of this generation. We're going to look up and we're going to say, you know, in the last 6 years that Daniel Jones has made more money than any other quarterback because he's going to get the one-year deal. It's good money. He's going to play well. He's going to come back. No, you're not buying it, Neek. He's not. No. He's going to play well this year, and he's going to wind up getting that contract.
Yeah, they transition tagged him. They didn't franchise tag him. But we'll see what happens because we don't know what the Achilles injury is, how he's going to bounce back from the Achilles injury. Like we see Aaron Rodgers, we've seen Kirk Cousins. There's no guarantee that it's all going to work out. He would have been much better off in the same way that Baker Mayfield was back in the day, where if he would have sat out and our last memory was, hey, that team was really good until he broke his leg and played on it. Like, I'm not sure you're right, Greeny.
Okay, we'll see. I hope I'm right. I hope he comes back and plays well.